Breaking today. Look out, Lauren Sanchez. Meghan Markle is coming for your man. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it, that the desperate Duchess of Delusion went for the Amazon boss, Jeff Bezos. And of course, it's for professional reasons, as Royally Sage pointed out from the Harcourt mouthpiece, Charlotte Griffiths. So this is an admission that Netflix did fire her. It's a little bit more complicated than that. We'll get to it in just one moment. But as according to Taz added,
Okay, folks. Buckle up, because the latest Meghan Markle saga has officially hit Hollywood-level chaos. If you thought the Sussexes had maxed out their drama quota, think again. Breaking news this week. Meghan Markle is apparently professionally wooing none other than Amazon boss Jeff Bezos. Yes, you heard that right. And naturally, the tabloids and royal gossip outlets are having a field day, painting it as the next chapter in Meghan's quest for power, influence, and, let's be real, money.
She won't get past Lauren, especially after their ridiculous behaviour overshadowing Kris Jenner's birthday party. So we're going to get the best analysis in town as we team up with Brittany from the Royal News Network in just one moment. But first, let me take you through this new reporting from Charlotte Griffiths over the weekend, who writes that canny Meghan Markle is professionally wooing Amazon top boss Jeff Bezos. Yes, I'm sure it's completely professional, just like everything else Meghan Markle has done. Not. She writes, Netflix bosses are said to have noted that the Duchess of Sussex appears to be professionally wooing Bezos. Sources across Hollywood say there has been much chatter at the streaming giant and beyond about the decision Meghan has made to return to the screen in the upcoming Amazon MGM studio film Close Personal Friends. She doesn't have any of those, where she will take on a cameo role as herself. Some have claimed Meghan, who recently salvaged a first look deal with Netflix after her $100 million 5-year deal came to an end, is simply being a canny businesswoman in siding with Bezos rather than Netflix to take on the acting job 8 years after leaving the cast of legal drama Suits, where she became engaged to Prince Harry. But another source has pointed out that Bezos is one of the few people with enough money to bankroll any future projects both on and off screen that Meghan and Harry might like to work on. The source from rival studio Disney told the Mail on Sunday, the Sussexes have been the subject of much chatter this week. People find it curious that Meghan seems to be professionally wooing Bezos, but to be brutally frank, who can blame her? He has all the money in the world and is one of the few people who can afford to bankroll any future projects of hers. A source at William Morris Endeavour, Hollywood's biggest talent agency which represents Meghan, told the newspaper, the Duchess is a smart businesswoman and very much in control of her career and where she sees it going. Of course, people are talking about her connection to Jeff Bezos and the fact she's chosen to star in an Amazon film, but there are very few big players in town, and she has two of them, Netflix and Amazon. She's a canny businesswoman. Underestimate her at your peril. But last night, a source close to Netflix said everyone in Hollywood is talking about Meghan making her return to acting in an Amazon film rather than a Netflix project. It's a bit like when Meghan and Harry sat down with Oprah Winfrey to give their first big interview post-Megxit. People all over town are wondering why they didn't come to Netflix. Of course, Netflix will never say anything remotely critical about them publicly, but let's just say this has been noted. Because, of course, Netflix remains a partner in Was Never, which has just released its first holiday-themed collection. The source added people have been critical of the 5-year deal, but Netflix was happy with the documentary series, which was a huge hit. That's why they signed a first look deal with the Sussexes once the original deal came to an end. Both of them are perfectly entitled to do other projects with other studios. Ted Sarandos doesn't care. He adores her, but others have remarked on it. Everyone is talking about why Meghan has chosen Jeff Bezos. He's a billionaire, dummy. So, Brittany from the Royal News Network joins me now. And Brittany, what do you make of this sort of very blatant attempt by Meghan Markle to now cozy up with one of the world's richest men and Jeff Bezos?
Well, I don't think anybody would consider it a big surprise. Meghan is always searching for people who can fund her lifestyle, fund her projects, what have you. But it is an indication somewhat that things aren't going well behind the scenes, despite the source from WME that kept saying, oh, Meghan is a great businesswoman. ignore her at your own peril. She is up a creek without a paddle in so many ways, as ever, is stalling for sure. The holiday collection doesn't seem to be moving very well. Meghan is horrible at promoting it. And a bit part on an Amazon movie is not really much to hang your hat on at this point. Yes, she's dipping her toe back in the acting waters, but we just don't see many other roles on the horizon. And Meghan's Achilles heel in this area has always been is that she's a horrible actress. So I don't think her going back into acting is probably going to be all that successful. I think it's actually why she didn't go to back to acting in the first place is that she knew she wasn't really good at it and the roles had dried up before she met Harry. And so she knew she was slowly going to be on her way out anyways. It's why she was looking for a wealthy man. And as her time right now in Hollywood with Harry is sort of starting to dry up as well, she's looking to catch a bigger fish, perhaps. But I would imagine Jeff Bezos is very, very happy with Lauren Sanchez. I don't think he's going to give Meghan the time of day. And she doesn't really even have many successes to hang her hat on and promote within the industry at this point. They had one single success, a series about themselves and the royal family. That's it. I think Hollywood is looking elsewhere. I don't think they're all that engaged and interested in Harry and Meghan. Yes, they generate headlines, but as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, they're almost always bad, always toxic, and always an absolute disaster.
Indeed, they are. But I think it is correct to point out, isn't it, Brittany, that, Lauren Sanchez ain't no fool. She ain't no fool.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a reading here of Ms. Markle.
Now, before we get carried away, let's unpack this because it's never as simple as it seems with Meghan. Charlotte Griffiths of the Mail on Sunday reported over the weekend that Meghan is set to appear in an Amazon MGM film called Close Personal Friends, playing herself, of course. And of course, insiders are saying she's being canny and smart, choosing Bezos over Netflix. Why? Because Bezos has the money to bankroll anything she and Harry might dream up next. Some in Hollywood even admitted they understood her logic. If you want big projects with no limits, you go where the money is.
Oh, yes. Lauren probably is, in some ways, is cut from a similar cloth in that Lauren went after the money and she got the money, but she sort of revels in it. I think Bethany Frankel caught it best is like they are somewhat similar, but Lauren sort of owns her excess and her interest and everything like that. Whereas Meghan tries to play all fields and ends up just looking like an absolute hot mess. And so I think when it comes to this friction, Lauren, of course, will clock Meghan. And I think a lot of people in the industry totally see through Meghan Markle as well. As we've seen throughout Meghan's time in the royal family, pretty much nobody was fooled by her except for Harry. They all knew she was sketchy. They all knew that she didn't really have the right intentions in this relationship. And they tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, and it just definitely for sure did not work out. But you can't, I don't think, fault the royal family in some ways for trying to, let's say, see if there was something good there. Obviously, there wasn't. And I think a lot of Hollywood sees through her as well. They're just keeping her around just in case of the divorce or more royal drama that they can capitalize on. This is an industry that is run mostly by money. And so that's what they're chasing is the potential money Harry and Meghan and the drama they generate can develop into rather than them as individual talents. And so Lauren and Jeff, I'm sure, have met Harry and Meghan, but they weren't invited to the wedding, were they? So I don't think they're going to be that close.
Yeah, indeed. And remember, Lauren Sanchez is good friends with Bethany Frankel from the Real Housewives of New York, who has Meghan absolutely down and has done for a long time. We learned over the weekend that it was because of her previous relationship with Trevor Engelson, Meghan's ex-husband. So I have a feeling Lauren Sanchez is going to be well and truly briefed on that. But look, it's fascinating, Brittany, that even a week on, this Kardashian Photogate drama shows no sign of letting up. And one of the theories is that the reason behind the storm was because the pictures of the pair inside of the event were just so horrendous. And there was more evidence of that over the weekend. Look at this from Maria Montessori, Brittany, who discovered that there was this picture in the background of Meghan clicking her fingers for service. And as Princess Carparkle said, Meghan Markle obviously realised too late she was in someone else's shot and looks dumb as hell. Harry isn't much better. She has a knack for finding the camera no matter what. But I mean, these pictures did not look good. And a picture of her clicking her finger demanding service clearly is a really bad look for this woman.
And yes, that's Amazon, Jeff Bezos, the guy whose wallet makes Scrooge McDuck look like a pauper. So, what's next? Likely more headline-grabbing antics, more attempts to cozy up to wealth and power, and more instances where Meghan's obsession with control backfires spectacularly. Hollywood will watch, gossip will spread, and the palace will continue to wrestle with a son and daughter-in-law operating as a semi-autonomous drama machine across the Atlantic.
It is. And all the pictures I thought were actually rather unflattering of them that definitely Kris Jenner chose. I don't think they made many friends at that event. They definitely treated it like they did Meghan's wedding as a networking opportunity. And so they were definitely trying to wheel and deal there, but I just don't think it went over very well. They have a very, very dismal track record. And seeing the pictures that did come out, they just weren't all that flattering to the couple. And I think that's because they just didn't really endear themselves to anyone there. And Harry and Meghan's Achilles heel, of course, in every situation is that, yes, they generate headlines, but it doesn't ever convert for them and the people they associate heavily with into cash most of the times. And that's what these people are mostly searching for. They're searching for successes, they want capital and these sorts of things. And Harry and Meghan are just the absolute antithesis of that. And I think they just prove how inadequate they are in that community. But of course, again, everybody sort of keeps them around just in case something, let's say, plays out to everyone's benefit. Other than that, they're sort of willing to let Harry and Meghan just sort of hang around, but they're not, again, really engaging with them all that much.
But Brittany, from the Times of London over the weekend, another accusation of lying. I mean, this is now just becoming so constant and so consistent. It is disastrous for the Sussexes' reputation. Of course, I know that they lie, but the fact that they lied about the consent form at the Kardashian event, and now it's emerged they also lied about the fact that they briefed Buckingham Palace, both King Charles and Prince William, about Harry's visit to Toronto. And this was revealed in quite a soft feature in the Times by Kate Mancy under the headline, Prince Harry claims Palace was briefed on trip to Toronto. Recollections continue to vary on the courtesy warning before the Duke met with the King and Queen's regiments in Canada. She writes, the Duke's office added that the palace had been informed in advance as a courtesy. However, it appears no one at the palace received the memo, leading to questions as to whether it was ever sent. One source said it was a bit rum to claim the palace had been informed when nobody at either Buckingham Palace or Kensington Palace appeared to have received any advance notice of the trip before it was released to the press. When the Duke's office was asked when they gave the courtesy warning and to whom, there came no reply. So this is just typical, isn't it? Just like with the consent form. And at some point, doesn't the mainstream media, the regime media, the royal rota have to wake up to the fact that you cannot trust a word that comes out of Harry and Meghan's office? I mean, come on, we've had 6 years of these lies.
Titles will continue to be a sticking point. Media credibility will be tested, and Meghan will keep striving, sometimes successfully, often not, for relevance, influence, and legacy. At the end of the day, this Bezos story is not just about a cameo or a business move. It's about strategy, desperation, and perception in both Hollywood and royal circles. It's about Meghan attempting to maintain control over a narrative that rarely bends to her will.
We have, and it really is shocking, Dan, that Harry and Meghan seem to think that they can lie with impunity, that nobody will ever call them out. And oftentimes they're silly lies, like saying, yes, we did give a courtesy notice to the palace. And then they're like, well, show us it. Who did you send it to, when, what have you? and they had nothing. And it's like, well, why even say it? Same thing with the note saying, no, we didn't give consent to our pictures being taken. And then the Kardashians are like, there was no consent because this was supposed to be a friends and family party only. And so you have the Kardashians hitting out on them. But what actually is even more critical, I think, in the Times piece is that in it sort of kind of implies that Harry believes that if he gives a warning to the palace or tells the palace he's going to do something like go to Canada and meet with these regiments, that somehow he is getting their approval or consent for these or their endorsement in some ways. And I think that is particularly concerning because Harry, yes, is free in some ways to do what he wants, but that in no means reflects the fact that he's doing it on behalf of the palace or his father in any stretch of the imagination. And this goes back again to this idea that Harry and Meghan are still trying to do the half in, half out thing. And the palace is just sort of letting this happen. And it's, again, an example of why the titles need to be pulled, why this firm separation needs to be had, because this couple is not only continuing to lie to the press, but they're also seeming to think in some ways that they're acting on behalf of His Majesty, and they're not. And that needs to be firmly told to the world, because otherwise I think Harry and Meghan use that ambiguity to their own benefit.
Absolutely. But Brittany, as we have both been saying for a long time, and as you re-emphasized over the weekend, this is why Charles has to act. Here's your post on this. So Prince Harry's team claims they sent notice to the palace about his trip to Canada but can't provide proof. It also appears that by informing the family, Harry believes that conveys their support of his trip. Another reason why to pull the titles. Harry is deluded and using the barest of communications to try and make others believe he comes with the blessing of his father when he doesn't. This is a lie by omission, and this type of rogue activity must be dealt with. And of course, you're so right. This matters. And while they keep the titles, this type of malarkey, this type of nonsense is going to keep on going on. And at some point, Brittany, the embarrassment to the British royal family will be extreme. They have been warned.
And it's about Harry, ever the loyal partner, following her into these headline-generating ventures, no matter how chaotic or unproductive. The takeaway? Watch closely. Hollywood insiders see through the hype. Royals see through the misrepresentation. And the public? Well, we're witnessing a masterclass in self-sabotage, spectacle, and the endless pursuit of validation from money and fame. Meghan's chasing Bezos for projects. She's chasing relevance for legacy. She's chasing control over chaos she can never fully master. And the result? Another headline. Another controversy, another lesson in what happens when ambition meets obsession, and nobody's playing by the rules but her. Let me know what you think about this video in the comment section. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think or what you want to see next.